Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. All right, from Charleston, South Carolina, we're going to welcome our friend here, Dr. Laura Garland, and she's here to talk. Well, I'm not sure what the topic is today, but we have great conversations each and every week. Welcome back to the show today, Dr. Laura. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Jill. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you so much. How was Christmas and all?
Christmas was good. How was yours?
It was good, except we all got a little sick, and then I got the booster. So on top of it, I don't know if it's a sickness or it's from the booster or both. But maybe your coaching and shamanic work could help me and our listeners today. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. I'm Laura Griffith Garland, and I am here in Charleston, South Carolina. But that doesn't mean that you have to be here to work with me, because I work with people all around the world. And to have Charleston Holistic Center is my husband and my overarching business, and my personal business is Charleston Reiki and Tarot. So today I thought we would talk about kindness, New Year's resolutions, and dealing with things that were brought up during the holidays.
Okay.
But we can start with your booster.
Sure.
When I got mine, I was 36 hours feeling like blah.
Yeah, my head. It's been 2 days, and my arm and my head, and I feel weak and achy.
Yeah, that's what I was with my booster. Mine was 36 hours. My husband was about the same, but he had worse headache, but he did 24 hours.
Headache. I've never get headaches. Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. So somewhere between, and everybody that we've heard have it reports somewhere between 24 and 36 hours for, and then like right at that, whatever that time frame is, it just like disappears. It goes from being just as bad as it was to boom, it's gone. It's very strange. Absolutely strange. But booster, really good thing. I'm going to really push that for our listeners, because if you haven't noticed the news, we had 500,000 cases reported yesterday. Now I know there's some artifact with the holiday in there and all of that, but please people, be safe, be safe.
Yeah.
And dealing with things that are brought up during the holiday. Lots of people, when they go back to see their family and friends, things come up. Whether it's the family who pushes all of the buttons, or you look at your friends and they're doing something and you're not doing something, or whatever it is. It's really important to work through that right away, so that you're not carrying it through the rest of the year. And if you're still on vacation with your family, you can actually start working on yourself right now. It is really important to do this. You might need a professional. You might need to work with a professional, depending on what's going on. If it's brought up trauma from childhood or teenage years, or even early 20s, or heck, even in your 30s or 40s, trauma. If it's brought that up, then you'll need to work with a professional, and you want to make sure to work with someone who has a specialty in trauma. Trauma is not the standard thing that most counselors work with. They'll mostly do depression or anxiety, things like that. But trauma is more of a specialized thing. So you want to check that out. I would recommend my husband, but unfortunately he has a wait list till June. So
he's a popular guy.
Yeah. But you need someone with that specialty. If it's not as severe as trauma, if it's just, crap.
Yes.
Then maybe just a standard counselor, will be perfectly fine. But if it isn't even necessarily that severe, you can work with a coach. And there's all kinds of different coaches out there. I specialize in working from the spiritual perspective. So incorporating your spirituality into that, whatever that means. It's not religion. I don't care whether you go to church or if you go to church or anything like that. We're just working on your spirituality, your personal connection there. So I incorporate that. But if that's not your thing, there's coaches out there that do things from very logical methods, or they do things from a very emotion centered. They do things from a perspective looking mostly at your health, but pulling in other things. So there's a lot of different options out there. And if this holiday season has brought that stuff up yet again this year, let's get it fixed before next year.
Beautifully said. Let's do it. You're right. And now is the time. I mean, people sometimes put down New Year's resolutions. They don't last. I get it. It's good to start early, but we're here now. Let's just do it. Feels good. New year, new you, new promises, new goals. We got to start somewhere. And I like the start of the new year. Oh my gosh, it's the 29th, so 2 more days. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well,
the Saturday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. Awesome.
Yeah. So, and that brings us right into New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
Because, well, New Year's is Saturday, and we make our New Year's resolutions. Some people make them on New Year's Eve, and some people get up in the next morning and make them on New Year's Day. It's very personal. But like we talked last time, so many people say, oh my God, I've made the same New Year's resolutions for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years or longer.
Yeah.
And the reason that happens is they might start off really good, but then life happens.
Yeah.
Life happens. And part of the reason the New Year's resolution falls off is because they don't have a really good plan for when life happens.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So this year on New Year's Day, if you're off, it is a Saturday, so a lot of people are, but if you're not, maybe you have Sunday off, or maybe you have Monday off. That might be your day off. One of those 3 days, or between now and New Year's, if you have time, it's time to make a plan for what to do with your resolutions this year.
Okay.
Like, the coronavirus is going through the roof again. Going to the gym might not be the best option right now.
True. Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if you have your booster and all of that, they're saying, Omicron, depending on your health, maybe evading a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So they did downgrade the percent of cases of Omicron. I think CDC, I read this morning, did, but that doesn't mean it's not on the rise. So, the gym might not be the best option right now. So if you're like, well, I need to work out more, the plan, go to the gym and get a gym membership, probably going to be the best option, especially if you live in states where this thing is really starting to go back up again. So that, especially if you have family members who haven't met the booster time frame, or things like the kids, they only just have gotten vaccines, so they're not 6 months booster time frame or anything like that. Or if you have elderly who may have gotten all of their shots, but their immune system doesn't react as well with it, so it doesn't produce the same amount of immunity.
Yes.
So going to the gym, maybe not the best plan if you're wanting to work out more this year. Maybe it is instead getting one of those, I don't know, mirror things. I don't know what they are. I'm not endorsing them. I'm just saying I've seen them where you can stream it into your house. If the weather is decent, you can always go outside and walk and work out and do. There's a whole bunch of body weight exercises that you can do that require no equipment. It just requires body. So, and there's lots of modifications you can make, because a lot of the body weight exercises start with push-ups.
No.
When I was in the military, I could do my more than required number of push-ups, but that's been almost 20 years now. So my on the ground push-up ability is just not what it used to be, but I can do more push-ups on a counter in my kitchen, like lean on the counter and do the push-ups. My counter has a really sharp edge, so that hurts my hands. So I just went and grabbed the cushions off of the dining room chairs. Use 2 cushions under my hands, and I do push-ups that way. And so I can get more workout done that way rather than just manage to do 5 on the floor. Yeah, it's 5 at this point. That I have extra weight right here, which I don't show. Yeah, I'm not built for Hollywood. I'm built more for other movies. And
You are a trip.
And that's just weight, that trying to do a push-up from the floor, that's a lot. And so, you know, there's a modifications. Okay, they have squats. Your knees bother you. Don't do a full squat. Actually put a chair behind you and touch your butt on the chair and sit for a second on the chair. There's a lot of things that you can do, modifications, but you got to have a plan. You got to have the plan to get this worked out. If you're just wanting to do one tiny thing for your health, get your water. Get your water. Water.
I'm also hydrating because I'm sick. So I'm trying to do that whole, what did you say? Divide the weight by the whatever.
By 2.
By 2.
Yeah, divide it by 2 and then drink that many ounces.
If I'm like 120 pounds, I need 60 ounces. So I have these little guys. This is 8 ounces.
So you can do
6 of them.
Yeah. So if you're being sick, you could do a little bit more. So you could get in your full 8 cups a day.
Yeah. And I'm probably like 125 now because after the holidays, I overate. I've been eating cookies.
Oh, well.
Exactly.
But now's the time to have the plan to make sure that isn't still here by March.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. We don't want it still here by March. Because, you know, by March, you're starting to think about what's the summer going to be. And here in South Carolina, we already are in spring and we're back in short sleeves and shorts. Actually, today we're in short sleeves.
Nice.
It's 75 degrees out right now.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It is the reason I live in South Carolina and no longer live in upstate New York, where I grew up. So, but have that plan. That plan is what's going to carry you through past the second week in January.
Got it.
If you have problems with sugar addiction, or because sugar really is addictive. It actually seriously is addictive. It's one of the most addictive substances on the planet. If you have a problem with that, you can actually see someone who does hypnosis to work on breaking that so that you don't want to do that. The same with any other, like overeating, not liking to do exercise. You can see someone who does hypnosis to give you cues to fix that and work on that. So there's all kinds of things that you can make a plan so that by February, we're not talking about this again. So it's all about the plan. And I would like to challenge everyone to have one additional New Year's resolution, which is a random act of kindness every day.
Random act of kindness. All right. I like this.
Random act of kindness every day. Now, it may be that you only see your significant other or your kids or interact with someone online during a day. That's entirely possible depending on your situation. Mm-hmm. But you can still do random act of kindness with your significant other, with your kids. Send an email to someone if you're not actually physically interacting with someone because you may work from home or something like that. But you can do that. What I do want to say is a random act of kindness for your kids is not giving them a sugary sweet.
Wow.
That is not a random act of kindness. That is actually perpetuating their sugar addiction. Now, there are a few people out there who do not have their kids do a lot of sweets at all. So they may only get it as a super treat. So that may be for that very small subset of the population, that may be a random act of kindness. But for most Americans, we do too much sugar already. So a sugary sweet is not a random act of kindness. It just sets the kids up for being tougher when we're adults trying to not eat the sugar. So you gotta think of something else. And it may be just as simple as a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
The random act of kindness may be as simple as a compliment. You go into your favorite coffee place and the barista is looking absolutely harassed and harried because there's been so many people in line. Just smile at them and maybe compliment them on something, anything, anything at all. It could be, I love the way you did your hair today. It could be, that's a really nice sweater. It could be anything. You just have to be super careful about like not stepping over the line into like something that's kind of creepy.
I love it. I kind of creepy.
So the guys out there in particular, you know,
They're like, what?
They all know that, you know, but yeah. But you know, it can be just that. Heck, a random act of kindness could be letting someone out in traffic.
Oh, isn't that nice letting them go? And I love that hand wave. I love doing it. And then I love it. But I don't like when I let people go and they don't even wave. And I'm like,
I know, but they may be so harassed and they may have been sitting there already for who knows how long. We're on a very, very busy street here. And the whole length of the street has businesses all along it with lights that don't actually give much gap in traffic the way that they work usually. And so just letting someone out in traffic may be your random act of kindness that day. You know, the poor person might be so harried that and might have been sitting there for 5 minutes. You don't know. Maybe their kid is screaming in the car in the back seat. You don't know. And just getting out into traffic and getting the car moving may actually settle that kid down. So random act of kindness. I bring this up because I experienced a random act of rudeness this morning. And I've seen this quite a bit. I went out for a walk because it was just a beautiful morning. And someone had the gall to comment on the fact that, oh, people start their exercise programs now and then they only do it 3 times and then they're done. They made sure to make the comment loud enough that I could hear, and how ridiculous it was that anybody bothered to go out and exercise. The person had no idea that my schedule was such that we're actually off this week. And so it was a beautiful morning, and usually I work out elsewhere, and I decided to go for a walk, but it was said very snidely, and that's a random act of meanness. We don't need those. We've got too many of those. So a random act of kindness instead would probably have made a much nicer day for me and for him and for his wife. Because I did happen to glance back and his wife had such a frown on her face when he said that. And so I can only imagine what the conversation was after I turned the corner. And so those sorts of things just don't, we have so much going on in our lives right now. They're not making the world a better place. So I'm asking everyone to do a daily random act of kindness as a New Year's resolution this year. They're not hard. They're not hard. And I think if we all do that, we'll feel better this year.
Yeah. Well, I think random acts of kindness, I love that. And just being a nicer person, just trying to, my New Year's resolution is always like, just trying not to get as upset. Like I say as a nicer person, but like I have kids, right? So it's like, instead of, oh my God, what'd you do? My little one who's 4 is always like, Mom, don't yell, relax. So that's my resolution is to be a little calmer, maybe. I mean,
Right,
because I'm
right.
not calm. I'm like, ah.
Well, with a 4-year-old, that's kind of tough
It is.
sometimes, especially when they get really active and they get really hyper, and then they accidentally do something, and off it goes. It's a whole chain. And but yeah, calm, taking a breath, learning to do that is all part of mindfulness.
Yeah.
That's that big buzzword out there. Mindfulness is a huge buzzword. So if we can all do that a little more, and that's the very, very first step in mindfulness, actually, really, as far as actually implementing mindfulness, is taking a breath, a nice, long, slow, cleansing breath. And you might have to do it 3 times. 3 times is better, actually, because then it gives your mind a chance to think. And if you get into the practice of taking those 3 breaths before you jump, if you get into the practice of 3 breaths before you jump into something, you'll find you're jumping a lot less. And well, you've lowered your blood pressure.
Okay, true. Yeah.
You've given yourself time to think. So you're probably not going to say something that you'll regret, because here's the really weird bit. Once it comes out of your mouth, you actually can't reach out there and grab the words and shove them back in. It just doesn't work that way, amazingly. Amazingly, we can't reach out and grab the words and shove them back in. Saying I'm sorry after you've said something that you regret only helps so much, because the words are already out there and the person's already heard them, and you may have already said something so bad that you may have shown your behind to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that. But
Wow.
if you start mindfulness practice with just starting with 3 breaths, and you might have to start with 3 panting breaths of you might have to start with 3 fast breaths.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then maybe it's like 2 fast breaths and a slower breath. And then maybe you can get to 1 fast breath and 2 slower breaths. And then maybe by the time we get into March, you're able to do 3 slow breaths when something has gotten you riled up. And it doesn't matter what the emotion is. It could be anger. It could be frustration. It could be sadness. It could be really actually super happy. Although we usually try not to calm down super happy because we don't get that as much. But any of the other emotions, anything that has your gut clenched or your blood pressure spiking, redness in the face, or whatever the heck it is that you do, anything that has that, if we start working on 3 breaths, then we can get that little tiny bit of distance. Because mindfulness is kind of being an observer, looking at ourselves and what's going on. There's that aspect of actually in the moment looking at what's going on and thinking about it. And that takes practice. It's very much practice. But the 3 breaths gives you time to think for at least a few seconds before you say something. Now, if you get into saying something and you start to talk and you realize, oh gosh, I didn't take my 3 breaths, guess what? You don't have to finish your thought. You do not have to finish whatever statement that you were about to spew.
Yeah.
You can cut it right off.
Good.
3 breaths. You can do that. You can cut it off and take 3 breaths. You don't have to finish it. You don't have to finish it. And if you have said something that you really regret, best thing to do is immediately apologize. Don't let it fester.
Yeah.
Don't let it fester.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's, we get into the winter, and especially up north. It's not so bad now. The winter hasn't been going on so long, but by the time we get into late January and early February for y'all, it can start to just wear on people. And so we'll probably revisit this idea of the 3 breaths because we start to get frustrated. There's that when the heck is spring coming sort of thing. And who knows with global climate change, how soon spring will be here this year. When I first moved to Charleston, we used to get frosts into March. We hardly ever get frosts anymore, let alone into March. Usually spring comes here now in February.
And oh wow, that's awesome.
Which is just so weird. But still, it can still linger. Things can linger. So let's quick review. Let's make a plan for our New Year's resolutions.
Okay, we could do that.
Make a logical plan, something that's going to work for you. And if all you can do for your health is one thing, drink your water. If you have had stuff come up from all of the holidays and dealing with your family, make a plan on that too. Pick up the phone, go on the internet, find someone who can help you work through this so that next holiday season, you don't have to deal with it. Because that'll be much better.
Beautifully said.
And then
thank you.
I'm challenging everybody for a 1 random act of kindness every day. Just one little thing. Doesn't have to be big. Could be a smile.
I'm going to start that today. Start it now. I'm not waiting 2 more days, 3 more days. Yeah, now.
Now. Make everybody's new year even better.
Beautiful. And how can we reach out to you to work with you? Would you mind sharing the website and, of course, your best forms of contact?
Sure. It's charlestonreikiandtarot.com, or you can go to the overarching site, which is charlestonholisticcenter.com. And phone number 843-259-8349.
Beautiful. Dr. Laura, it's a pleasure having you here and wishing you a happy and healthy new year, and looking forward to touching base again next week and seeing how this is all going. Random acts of kindness, at least one a day. Got it. You have a great day. Thank you so much. Enjoy your New Year's. Okay, sweetheart? It's the best of you.
You too. Have a very fun New Year's.
Thank you, sweetheart. You too. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.